The salesman shakes your hand, firm grip, warm smile. He calls you by your first name, even though you only met 40 minutes ago. The paperwork is already printed. You didn't plan for this to happen today. You came in just to look. That's what you told yourself in the parking lot, just looking. Maybe get a feel for what's out there. You'd been driving the same '09 Civic for 6 years. It burned oil. The AC had been dead since summer before last. The check engine light had been on so long you stopped seeing it. You weren't desperate, you just wanted something better. That's a reasonable thing to want. The lot was cleaner than you expected. The cars were arranged in rows like they were waiting for you specifically. And then you saw it. The one that stopped your feet mid-step, dark gray, low profile. LED headlights that curved like they were sculpted. You didn't even know the make and model at first. You just stood there. The salesman appeared the way they always do, quietly, from nowhere. "You've got good taste," he said, and something small in you believed him. You told him your budget. You said it out loud, a real number, a responsible number. The number you'd calculated at home after looking at your take-home pay and your rent and your student loan payment and the rough cost of insurance. He nodded like he respected it. Then he said, "Let me just show you what we have in that range, and a couple things just slightly above so you can compare." That word, slightly, it did a lot of work that afternoon. The test drive lasted 22 minutes. You know, because you checked the time when you got back. 22 minutes was all it took. The seat adjusted to your exact position. The sound system responded to your voice. The acceleration was smooth in a way your Civic never was and never would be. You merged onto the highway, and for about 45 seconds, you felt something you hadn't felt in a while. Like things were going well. Like you were the kind of person who drove a car like this. You pulled back into the lot and sat in the driver's seat for a moment before getting out. The salesman was already walking toward you. The numbers came out on a sheet of paper. MSRP, destination fee, documentation fee, dealer add-ons you didn't ask for but were already installed, a paint protection package, nitrogen in the tires. The out-the-door price was $6,200 over what you'd said you could spend. He slid a second sheet across the desk. Monthly payment breakdown, 60-month term, then 72, then 84. At 84 months, you're looking at $592 a month, he said. That's less than $20 a day. You heard yourself say, not a yes, not no, just, You sat in that office for 2.5 hours. At some point, they brought you a bottle of water. At some point, the sales manager came in, a different man, older, with a more serious face, and said he was going to see what he could do for you, like he was doing you a favor, like he was going against policy just because he liked you. They came back with a number adjusted by $40 a month. You felt like you'd won something. That feeling was the problem. You signed 7 pages, then 3 more, then an electronic signature pad for the financing agreement. The interest rate was 11.9%. Why, you noticed it. You didn't ask about it. You told yourself you'd refinance in 6 months once you built up your payment history. The salesman walked you to your new car. He shook your hand again. You drove off the lot at 6:47 in the evening, and the sun was hitting the hood just right, and you thought about taking a photo, but you didn't. You just drove home. The first month was fine. The payment came out on the 14th, $584, after they'd adjusted the term. You had it. You covered it. You adjusted a few things, cut back on eating out, skipped the weekend trip you'd have planned, but it was manageable. You told a few people about the car, casually, like it wasn't a big deal. It felt like a big deal. The insurance bill arrived before the first payment did, full coverage on a new vehicle. You'd estimated around $140 a month based on a quick online search. The actual quote came back at $211. You called 2 other companies. One came in at $198, the other was $220. You went with the $198 and told yourself that was the smart move. Your fixed monthly transportation cost was now $782. You made a note of it, put it in your budget spreadsheet, stared at it for a while, then you closed the laptop. Month 3, the registration fee hit. You hadn't fully accounted for that either. New vehicle, new state valuation. The DMV sent a bill for $460. You paid it from savings. Your emergency fund had been at $2,000. Now it was at $1,400. You told yourself you'd rebuild it. Next couple paychecks. It wouldn't take long. You started doing the math differently around month 4, not the monthly math, the total math. You opened a loan amortization calculator late on a Tuesday night and typed in your numbers. Principal, interest rate, term, over 84 months at 11.9%. You would pay back nearly $11,000 more than the price of the car that had already lost roughly $4,000 in value the moment you drove it off the lot. You sat with that for a minute, then you got up and got a glass of water. Month 5, your hours got cut at work. Not fired, not laid off, just adjusted, a restructuring. Your manager used the word temporary twice in the same sentence, which usually means it isn't. You went from 40 hours to 32. That was roughly $420 less per month after taxes. You did the math without a calculator this time. You didn't need one. Your transportation costs were now more than your rent had been 2 years ago. You started watching your bank account differently, not checking it once a day like a normal person, checking it before purchases, checking it after purchases, refreshing it at red lights. The 14th became a date you thought about starting on the 8th. You moved money around, shuffled things, paid one card to free up another, deferred a bill by a few days. Nothing catastrophic, just management. You were getting good at managing. That's what you told yourself. A coworker asked if you wanted to go in on a group gift for someone's going away party. $40. You hesitated for about 2 seconds too long. She noticed. You saw her notice. You said sure and Venmo'd her the money and felt something flatten in your chest that you couldn't quite name. Month 7, you had a tire blowout on the interstate. Not a slow leak, a full blowout. Loud, violent instant. You pulled over, hands shaking a little, called roadside assistance, which you had because it was bundled into your insurance. One of the few things that worked out. The tow was covered, the tire was not. New tire for your vehicle, $280. You put it on your credit card. Your credit card balance, which had been at 0 when you bought the car, was now sitting at just under $900. You paid the minimum. For the first time, you applied for a refinance in month 8. You'd been thinking about it since you signed. Lower rate, lower payment, smarter setup. The lender came back with an offer, 10.4%. You'd been paying 11.9. The monthly savings came out to $19. You took it anyway because $19 felt like something. You needed it to feel like something. There's a particular kind of quiet that happens in month 9 or 10. It's not panic. Panic would almost be easier. It's a low, steady hum, the sound of a system running too hot for too long. You stop talking about the car. You don't show it off anymore. You don't think about how it looks in a parking lot. You think about the 14th. You think about whether the check will clear. You think about the coworker you can't chip in with, and the tire on the credit card, and the emergency fund that is now sitting at $640. You think about how this all started with a test drive. 22 minutes. There's a word in the auto industry. Upside down, it means you owe more on the vehicle than it's currently worth. You looked it up one afternoon, not because you were planning anything, just because you wanted to understand where you actually stood. Your loan balance, just over $31,000. The car's current market value, based on listings and one dealer appraisal, $24,000. You were upside down by roughly $7,000. Which means if you sold the car today, if you just walked away from it, you would still owe $7,000 on a car you no longer had. You read that sentence twice. You thought about calling the dealership once, not to complain, just to ask, was there any option you'd missed? A trade out, a program, something. The salesman who answered wasn't the one who'd sold you the car. He listened politely, asked for your VIN, pulled up your info. Yeah, he said. You're pretty deep in negative equity right now. Not a lot of options at this point. He wasn't unkind about it. He was just honest in a way nobody had been 8 months earlier. Best thing you can do, he said, is keep making payments and wait for it to even out. Keep making payments. That was the advice. You're still making them. The 14th comes every month like a scheduled reminder that one afternoon, one test drive, one set of monthly payment calculations, one moment of feeling like things were going well is still happening. It's not over. It keeps not being over. The car runs fine. That's the strange part. It runs perfectly fine. No check engine light, cold AC. The sound system still responds to your voice. You drive it to work. You drive it to the grocery store. You drive it 37 miles round trip every day, watching the gas gauge and calculating the next fill up and making sure the 14th will clear. From the outside, it looks like you made a good decision. From the inside, you know exactly what it cost. Not the sticker price, not the monthly payment, the other cost, the one that doesn't show up on the loan statement, the slow accumulated weight of a number that follows you everywhere you go. Nobody tells you that the car you buy at 26 or 30 or 34 can still be shaping your options at 38. Nobody explains that a signature on a Tuesday evening in a fluorescent lit office can quietly reorganize your entire financial life for the next 7 years. They show you the monthly payment. They don't show you the rest. The salesman shook your hand, firm grip, warm smile. He called you by your first name, and you drove home in the dark thinking you'd done something right.